a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
All right, welcome to the show. Thanks for spending some time with us here in studio with me today. Jason Mears in the house, Florida Best Quote Insurance. We're going to talk about hurricane deductibles, what to look at with your dwelling coverages and things of that nature as well. And coming up, Roger Kuns in the house as well. Music and cinema, all things for music and cinema in your home as well. I want to invite you to our gratitude party coming up on the 20th, Thursday, June 20, 6 o'clock over at Brio Tuscan Grill, the official restaurant partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Come on over to Brio and meet us there on Thursday the 20th. It's our third Thursday event. Happy hour / gratitude party. We're going to have food provided, appetizers provided. Also, we have a drink sponsor as well for the first 20 people to show up, get a free drink as well. So come on over Thursday, June 20, 6 o'clock over at Brio Tuscan Grill, International Plaza Mall. It's 2223 Northwest Shore Boulevard right here in Tampa. And we also have Alex Lima in studio with us as well. Alex, how you been? How things going?
Great, man. Can't complain. No one listens, you know.
Rocking and rolling.
Yeah, bro. Loving it.
That's right. Rocking and rolling. So, yeah, we always have a good time at these events. So it's nice to see our some of our expert contributors there, radio show partners, real estate team, audience from the quarterback show. It's always nice to catch up with people. I love it.
Definitely.
All right, so let's jump into a couple of hot listings here. We got our hot listings in Tampa Bay. We always feature our properties on air. Strategy works. You know, it helps sellers sell faster for more money, and our stats speak for themselves. 140 92nd Avenue. This is on Treasure Island, 140 92nd Avenue, Treasure Island. Beautiful new listing. This one just hit the market relatively about a week ago, roughly. Great opportunity in Tampa Bay. This one is an exceptional investment opportunity. You got 2 renovated cottages on an oversized lot. You got cozy 1-bedroom, 1-bath, and a 2-bedroom, 1-bath as well. 140 92nd Avenue in Treasure Island. Great opportunity. You walk about a block and mile, 1.5 blocks down to the beach. You're on the Gulf of Mexico there, quarter mile from a public boat launch, and you have a cottage that's available turnkey. 140 92nd Avenue, Treasure Island, Florida. One of our hot listings here in beautiful Tampa Bay. Also, got a new listing at 8533 and 110th Street, number 305. This is a 55-plus community on 110th Street. This is in Seminole, Florida. Now, in Seminole, you're getting a lot of value there in Pinellas County. This is a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, 638-square-foot condo. This community has almost everything you could ask for, especially if you're a retiree looking to be involved. Line dancing, Zumba, Silver Sneakers program. You have easy access to shopping in the Gulf of Mexico beaches, shuttles, shuttle services. You got white elephant sales, social events, dinner and dancing. So much more there at 8533 110th Street. Unit 305 in Seminole. You can see all of our listings online at platinummvpteam.kw.com. Check out platinummvpteam.kw.com.
This is God's country.
All right, Jason Mears. He is our expert contributor, all things insurance related. Florida Best Quote. Welcome in, sir.
Welcome. Thank you, man. It's always a pleasure to be here. You know that. I love coming in.
Absolutely. We love having you. And you do a lot of teaching across the state, too. What you've been out teaching other realtors and people in the community?
Yeah, doing some classes on hurricane season right now and just how we can partner together with realtors. I'll be teaching a class down in Sarasota on Thursday for a real estate market down there, talking about the condo legislation and everything that's going on with that. So lots of teaching, but I love that part of the job. So love encouraging and encouraging realtors and letting them know kind of what's going on in the industry. So.
Yeah, exactly, man. That's awesome. You have a teacher's heart.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I love it. My mom was a teacher for 30-something years and retired as a teacher, so
nice.
I guess I got some of that from her. So.
Yeah, I love it. I feel it too, man. You know, the older you get, you like to give back. You have tips and ideas and tricks that can help people, and it's like, hey, you feel like you get into that statesman part of your life. I think they call it archetype. I think Wayne Dyer called it archetypes.
Yeah, and I think I think it helps all of us. That's one of the things I like about being here. This is an opportunity for me to educate consumers and realtors and others on just some of the things that are going on in the industry and things that they need to be aware of. And I know some of that we're going to be talking a little bit about hurricane season.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 which just started June the 1st. So
that's right.
So that's what we'll be talking
about.
So
we're here. And it could lead to circumstances where you have, for example, I was just looking at another one of these polls. I read a lot of these polls or studies that come out in Northport, Florida, got hit pretty hard. Port Charlotte, Northport. I saw where their property values are kind of decreasing. It's not as good as it was, but most of all of Florida is still a hot market. It's still a good place to be. It's slowed down a little bit, of course, as we are shifting towards a buyer's market or more of a balanced market, I'd call it. But because that's the ramifications that can happen. And we saw how quickly it could happen. So when you think about hurricane season, what comes to mind, Jason?
Well, first of all, I know that there's been a lot of prognosticators out there. It seems every article I've read is predicting either an above average or possibly even a record hurricane season.
Right.
I don't put a lot of stock into some of that. I always just tell people it only takes one. For us, it can be a low risk season, but it just takes one hurricane. But we just had our first storm, I guess, named this morning. Invest 90L was named this morning, and that's close to Florida. And now we're seeing the ramifications of that. It is flooding outside, so pouring rain, which we needed. But between now over the next few days, we're going to get a lot of rain. So the peak of hurricane season isn't until September 10th. And we've already, seen some activity, which this is a lot earlier than normal.
Yeah. So what do we need to do to prepare? What do we need to think about here when it comes to our insurance policies, deductibles, things of that nature?
Well, I think there are a couple things. I think for the consumer out there, there's some things just regarding your home insurance policy that I think is really, really important. I know there's a lot of people, and I've dealt with a lot of people over the last 11 years in insurance where you have widows, you have people that haven't looked at their home insurance in years, and as a result of that, they don't know. They just kind of pay their mortgage every month, and all of a sudden it'll go up significantly, and they'll go, "Hey, what's going on?" Well, something happened with your home insurance. So one of the things that I think there's three main things. I would say number one, if you haven't in a while, you need to call your insurance agent and get them to rerun the replacement cost of your home, because that number changes on an annual basis. And so if you haven't looked at that in 5, 6, maybe 10 years, you could be paying, you could have dwelling coverage that's a lot more than you need, or you could have dwelling coverage that does not cover your home in case of a hurricane.
That's a good point.
I've run into that.
Asking for if you do that, you're almost asking for them to increase your policies if you're doing it right now. I think when you look at construction costs, well, of course, depending on when you bought, but
and construction costs alone have increased the dwelling coverage. So a lot of the companies, and not everybody's aware of this, but a lot of the home insurance companies every single year increase the dwelling coverage. And when I say dwelling coverage, some companies would call it coverage A, building coverage. That's the replacement cost of your home.
Yeah.
And a lot of companies will just add an automatic inflation guard onto that, like a 5 or 6% increase in that dwelling coverage every single year. But unfortunately, what I've seen is you'll have people, and I mentioned widows, people that don't look at their policy for a long time. They just pay it. 10 or 15 years down the road, maybe they need $300,000 of dwelling coverage, but they have $400,000 because their insurance company just keeps increasing that dwelling coverage. But then there's other companies that never increase it over time. And so if you don't rerun it, then you might have $50,000 to $100,000 less in dwelling coverage than you need. So you could be paying too much, or you could be paying too little, unfortunately, because you just don't have enough dwelling coverage. So if you haven't had that looked at in a couple of years, I would encourage you to call your insurance company and have them run a replacement cost.
That's
see
smart.
what it is today.
Yeah, smart move, because a lot of some of the appreciation is in the value of the land, so that's not necessarily going to affect your dwelling coverage.
Right.
But if you look at an appraisal and if you look at the values, then that's where I think some people may get confused. So you want to make sure you call your insurance company, talk to them directly, or you could reach out to our show hotline. We'll put you in touch with Jason Mears, one of the best in the business, Florida Best Quote Insurance. You can reach out to 727-263-3707. Call or text any questions you have on real estate insurance. If you need to talk to a CPA, financial advisors, all of our different categories, 727-263-3707. And we'll put you in touch with the best right here in Tampa Bay, local experts that come in and serve as a consumer advocate on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. We're talking with Jason Mears. Jason, what else are you seeing? What else are you thinking?
Well, a couple other things as far as on the personal policy. I would say know what your hurricane deductible is. It's going to be higher 9 times out of 10 than your regular all other perils deductible, which normally is $1,000 or $2,500. A standard home insurance policy is going to have at least a 2% hurricane deductible. And some people, maybe when they first bought the house 5-10 years ago to save money, did a 5% deductible, right? Some might have had a 10%. That is the percentage of the dwelling coverage that you have to pay out before that coverage is valid. You know, so just like we have
$500,000 house.
Yeah, whatever the math on that would be.
2% is $10,000.
Yeah, for sure.
2% $10,000.
So you'd have. So the way I look at it, it's if you don't know what your hurricane deductible is, figure out how much that amount is. It's 2% or 5% of your dwelling coverage. If you don't have that money in the bank, it's like you don't have coverage.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, in case of a hurricane. So know what your deductible is. Make sure that you get that. You've got that money saved in case you need it.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to pay out until that deductible is met. Same thing like with auto insurance, but we're dealing with a lot higher deductible here than you would. And then I think the third thing on your personal policy, a lot of people are not aware. You know, they assume that the home is covered at replacement cost, which that is a good assumption to make. A standard policy is going to cover your home to replace it. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to your personal property, that's not the case. And so personal property can either be appreciated value, or I'm sorry, not appreciated, depreciated value, or it's sometimes called actual cash value versus replacement cost. Okay. And a lot of people, to save money, and because it's really a standard home insurance policy, is only going to cover your contents for what it's worth right now and not at replacement cost. That's an extra coverage, and a lot of people just don't want to pay that extra. And so the difference in that would be if you bought a couch 5 years ago and it was $1,000, well, if it's only worth $200 today, when they're going through your home and they're determining how much money to pay you, you're going to see $200 instead of $1,000. So that's the difference, and it's going to cost you more money. But a lot of people just aren't aware of it. So check your policy, see if your personal property is covered at replacement cost or what it's worth today.
Okay. Yeah, those are good tips. We're talking with Jason Mears, Florida Best Quote Insurance, and those are great tips. We've also heard, from other contributors or maybe even Jason last time is to take photos, take videos. Make sure you document what you have. You know, if you're the analytical type, put it in a spreadsheet, right, Jason? Those are smart ideas, right?
Yeah, and there are those people out there. They are the ones that are going to document every single thing that they own, and that is the best case scenario. If you have a storm that comes through and decimates your house, the more documentation you have of what you own, the better. A lot of people are never going to go that far, so I would always recommend to them, just take your phone and just walk through your house, open every door, every closet, every drawer, and just make sure you have a video of everything, and talk through it as you go. Go outside, talk about what you have out in the yard, because your personal property out in the yard is covered under your policy as well. So at bare minimum, take the time to do that. Give you a couple of other tips that I might have mentioned in the past, but I always just tell people, because there's a lot of tips out there that everyone is going to say, have that emergency kit and all that. But I like some of those that people don't always think about.
Lower on the list.
Yeah, that can be very effective. And one simple one is, before storm, fill up all your bathtubs with water. That would help you with being able to flush the toilet, also to be able to wash yourself.
Yep.
I've been without power for 7 days during a hurricane, and it's really important to have some of those things.
Yeah, exactly.
And then little things like, and I might have mentioned before, but
candles.
And have your maybe some solar powered battery packs that you can charge in the sun, that you can plug into your phone. They have those as well. Make sure that just a simple tip that I like is just during hurricane season, just every time you hit half a tank of gas, fill it up.
Fill it up. Yep.
Always have minimum a half a tank of gas. So if you've got to get out of town, you can get out of town and get a long way on a half a tank of gas, depending on what you drive.
Or siphon it out and put it in your generator or whatever you might use gas for. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And then another kind of an odd one that a lot of people don't talk about is just know what your local shelters are or where they are.
Yep.
And if you've got a pet, you gotta make sure that you know which shelters take pets before, because you don't want a lot of people. I remember in the last one of the last hurricanes, I heard of people showing up at shelters. We don't take pets.
Yep.
Well, you can find all that information up front. So if you've got a pet, make sure that you've got a shelter marked out that you're going to go to in case of an evacuation or an emergency that will take your pet, so you're not wandering around looking for one.
Good stuff. More coming up with Jason Mears here on the flip side. Also, interesting story, America's commute getting longer. We're going to talk about that and affordability, leading to affordability in the real estate space. Been a constant struggle with affordability in Florida and other markets. So more with Jason Mears coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey, I'm Ken Shamrock, and you're here with Consumer Quarterback Show. And I say, Brandon Rhymes, knock out your competition.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 727-263-3707. Online at consumerqb.com.
Dennis Prager here for Brandon and Lindsay Rhymes, owners of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams. Buying, selling, investing in real estate, their nationwide Keller Williams network makes them the best team to work with. Sellers, have your property featured live on air, creating multiple offers. Buyers, leverage a unique system that gets your offer accepted, never overlooked. Call or text 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550, or consumerqb.com.
Lindsay Rhymes here with Archer Place in Gainesville, Florida. Our luxury condo community is located only 1.5 miles from the University of Florida, 5 minutes to Shands Medical and Butler Plaza. Our buyers love the high-end luxury amenities in their building, including a state-of-the-art fitness facility equipped with Pelotons, the resort-style temperature-controlled pool accompanied with cabanas and grills, and the gourmet chef's kitchen in our clubhouse that overlooks the pool. We have pre-construction pricing only for a limited time, with floor plans ranging from a 1-bedroom, 1-bath to 2-floor penthouses with plunge pools. Starting in the low 400,000s to the high 900s, investors, parents sending their young adults off to school, medical professionals, business owners, and entrepreneurs alike are investing in these residences. Reach out to us today at 727-263-3707 to get more information.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
Back, Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. A couple of hot listings that we're going to talk about: America's commute getting longer, affordability, and also flood insurance with Jason Mears here in studio with us. Also, interesting story later on in the program. FBI cracks down on rental price fixing scheme. Very interesting story that I stumbled across online there. All right, a couple of hot listings here for this segment. Beautiful properties available here in Tampa Bay throughout the Tampa Bay area. We have a property at 4809 Portland Manor Drive, Newport Richey. This one is Pasco County, 4809 Portland Manor. You have a beautiful property here, lots of natural light coming through, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, 1912 square foot, 55-plus community of Heritage Lake. This one's 4809 Portland Manor Drive, beautiful single-family home in Newport Richey. You have a 2-car garage there, and it has no backyard neighbors here on Portland Manor. 7325 Skybird Road, unit number 399. This one's in Bradenton, Manatee County, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bath, 1-car garage. 1520 square foot condo with lake views. Recently remodeled. Kitchen has granite countertops, wood cabinetry, stainless steel appliances. and more. Lots of updates there. Now, the amenities in this community are really cool. 81-foot lagoon-style heated pool, clubhouse, fitness center, catering kitchen, and more, close to the Gulf beaches and the downtown Riverwalk. 7325 Skybird Road, Bradenton, Florida. And you can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
Try that in a small town. See how far you make it there.
All right, Jason Mears in the house. We're going to talk flood insurance. Before we do, I wanted to get to this clip here because it's kind of interesting when you look at America's commute to work getting longer. There's recent studies done on this and the rising cost of housing.
America's commute to work is getting longer and longer. Why? Because they have to live further to be able to afford the rent.
Yep.
Longer commutes are increasing due to rising housing costs and hybrid work. Stanford research shows super commutes, 75 miles or more, have surged 32% since 2020. 75 miles or more.
Wow, 32%. People are driving 75 miles or more. I mean, I think of people that live up at the top of the expressway, the Suncoast Expressway. They're way up there in Brooksville, and they're driving to Tampa or St. Pete. You know, spending a lot of time in your car. I guess these days you can pull up podcasts and be entertained. So that's the good side of it, right? A lot of people call it, like education on wheels, right? Learning as you're driving.
I've done that before. My last one of the reasons I'm with Florida Best Quote is because my last insurance company, I was driving an hour each way over to Wesley Chapel.
It just wears you down, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
And I'm not. I don't like traffic. So
who does, right? I mean, you're out there. So when you look at those challenges, now let's shift gears because we have limited time. Flood insurance.
Yeah.
What's going on with the insurance quotes, flood? There's been a lot of changes there too, Jason.
Yeah, there have. And really, a lot of people don't think about it that much, especially those people that, my lender didn't require me to get flood insurance, so I don't need flood insurance. And there's some misnomers about that I just would like to clear up. There's some people would say, well, I'm not in a flood zone. Well, there's really no such thing as no flood zone. There's a low-risk flood zone, but not a no-risk flood zone. So if you're specifically those of you out there that do not have flood insurance because your lender didn't require you to have it, that just means that you're in a lower enough risk that they didn't make you get it. You're in an X or an X500 flood zone.
Yeah.
But depending on the statistics you read, anywhere from 25 to 30% of flood claims are in low-risk flood zones.
Yeah.
So I would really encourage people, if you are in a lower-risk flood zone or you were told that it wasn't required or hopefully you weren't told it wasn't needed, because I don't think that's ever a case. Let us give you a quote. I mean, because some of those rates can be really, really low. We saw a lot of confusion a couple of years ago with the hurricane that came through Fort Myers, because you had a lot of people flooded that were in low-risk flood zones, and it was like, well, is this caused by the hurricane? But it was rising water, which is the definition of flood, rising water coming into my home from outside of my home. So is this flood insurance coverage? Is it hurricane coverage? And you've seen companies like Citizen specifically that now they just require everybody to have flood insurance,
right?
Because of some of that confusion that happens as a result of that. So don't ever think you don't need it. Get a quote done and see how much it would cost, and then make an educated decision.
And a lot of times I've seen it in the $400, $500, $600 range to have that coverage. So you have that coverage. Now you're at least, whatever they want to deem it, a wind event or rising flood, velocity zones, then you're covered.
Yeah.
Jason, final thoughts here, about 30 seconds left. Final thought in connecting on your website. The best way?
Yeah. Give us a call. You could call me personally. My number is 813-385-4441. I can get you in touch with people on my team that can help get you reshopped if you want to just take another look at your rate. If you want to get your replacement cost estimate rerun so we can make sure you have enough coverage. Those, I think, would be the main things. We can run some flood quotes for you. Our website's www.floridabestquote.com. My email is jason@floridabestquote.com.
All right, Jason, thanks for coming in, man. Good stuff.
Always a pleasure, man.
Appreciate that. All right, coming up, we got Roger Kuns in the house, owner of Music and Cinema, also special guest. He's got with him as well Roy Brown Jr., founder and CEO. Coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, FBI cracks down on rental price fixing scheme. Find out more. Stay with us. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
This is Work Done, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show, hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
All right, Brandon Rhymes here in studio with Roger Kuns. He is owner of Music and Cinema, also a veteran. And thanks to all of our vets out there. We greatly appreciate everything you do for us. We also have Roy Brown going to be joining us online here as well, founder, CEO, Operation Patriot FOB, and raising awareness for veteran suicide. It's a 501c3. We're going to dive deep into that. Did you know that there's about 22 to 44 veterans per day that are committing suicide? So we're helping to raise resources, volunteers, also, of course, dollars. Your dollars count, so help us out with that. We'll talk about that here coming up in just a minute. Before we do, a couple of hot listings here. We always feature our properties on air. 5402 US 92. We have a property listed. This is a bar. Have you ever wanted to own your own bar or restaurant? Well, here's a great opportunity. 5402 US Highway 92. This one's in Plant City. 1716 square feet, 0.29 acre lot. It's a zoning, of course, commercial. You have the COP, highly coveted COP license, which means you can sell packaged liquor through a drive-through. You can also host events off-site as well. Operations as a packaged liquor store. 5402 US Highway 92, Plant City, one of our hot real estate listings from the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty, helping you sell your real estate faster for more money, maximizing the exposure. 2156 Masters Court in Dunedin, Florida. This is a beautiful pinellas property. You have access to bike and hit the Pinellas Trail there at 2156 Masters Court in Dunedin, Florida. You're close to the golf community as well. St. Andrews Links Golf Club. 2156 Masters Court, 3-bedroom, 3-bath, 20 square foot condo, beautifully remodeled, end unit condo, 2 primary suites, lots of updates and upgrades, only 7 minutes to downtown Dunedin, and only 5 minutes to Honeymoon Island. You can see all of our real estate listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
Try that in a small town. See how far you make it down the road.
All right, Roger Kuns back in studio. Roger, thanks for coming in, man. We always talk about adding that value to the home. So you'll start off with the audio, the video, the security, that smart home technology that people really love, and a lot of people don't know how to get it.
Yeah, no, Music and Cinema, we're located in Palm Harbor, and it's something that I've always had a passion for, especially just technology, making sure that home and businesses are utilizing it, taking advantage of it to the best of their ability. And that's where we come in, is we can come in and help establish all those things, from if you're building a new home or remodeling an existing home, or you just don't have anything in your house to begin with and you just want to get things going. If it's a big screen TV or a home theater, or just want to put cool lights around your bar, shades, all kinds of different things. So
any kind of automations, pretty much. Any kind of automations you see on TV, you see in different places. I love it, man.
Yeah, I always like to tell the story that, if you want to pull up to your house and have the gates, rise up, the shades either go up or down depending on the time of the day, the music to turn on to whatever you want it to be. If it's a Friday evening, smooth jazz is your thing, that's what turns on.
There you go.
And then the jacuzzi turns on. So those are the main things we do, but I'm excited to introduce my buddy Roy Brown Jr. and his nonprofit. My wife Keisha and I have a lot of passions in life, but after serving 7 years in the Marine Corps, I got to know I call him JR because Roy Brown Jr. So got to know JR down in Beaufort, South Carolina, or up in Beaufort, South Carolina, and we maintained being friends. And then we both served overseas, but his time in service was a little different than mine. He was a dog handler. I believe it's bomb sniffing, but I'll let him correct me if I'm wrong there. But he served with an awful lot of guys over there that made it home and then really struggled when they got home. So I'm going to let him kind of talk more about it. But he founded Operation Patriots FOB, which is a 270-acre, kind of like just a boys' playland. We get to shoot guns, hunt, ride side by sides, do those types of things, and it's all for veterans. So
I love it. Roy, welcome to the show, man. Tell us a little more.
Well, thanks for having me on, and thanks, Roger. Really appreciate the opportunity to continue to spread the word. But I guess I can start real quick and tell a little bit about my story, because that's what leads into why we started Operation Patriots FOB. I joined the Marine Corps. I went to boot camp about a month after 9/11 and found myself in one of the best MOSs in the world. I was a canine handler, and I got paid to play with dogs every day. Cool. Originally, I started off with a drug detection dog, went down to the El Paso, Juarez, Mexican border for a few months, working drug interdiction. Found a couple $1 million worth of dope already down there. And then as soon as I got back to Beaufort, South Carolina, the Iraq war had just kicked off. So I converted over to a bomb dog, and I deployed with
go back to deployed where? We lost you there for a second, split second.
Yep, deployed to Iraq, primarily Iskandariyah, Musaib, Mahmadiyah.
Joe, let's try to reboot there. Roy Brown Jr., founder, CEO. See if we can get him on a landline, maybe. Operation Patriot FOB. Roger, you want to pick up on his story? You probably know his story pretty well.
Yeah, he so he served over there. And I know that he did one or two deployments with the Marine Corps, and then he actually went over and did it for some of the other government agencies and stuff. But he served over there, did a lot of good things, a lot of things that things that we don't want to know that people have done and stuff like that. But when he got back, this Operation Patriot FOB. Him and his wife lived up in New York, and then they wanted to get down south. And when they got back down to Beaufort, South Carolina, or Bluffton, they found this 270 acres, and it's always been JR's passion, is to help suicide awareness for veterans. And my wife Keisha and I, we've been big supporters of it since the beginning. We get down there 2 or 3 times a year, get over there 2 or 3 times a year, and it's awesome for myself to get to be around Marines and veterans again, and it's just something that. And the awesome thing about it is it's free to anybody who's a veteran. Wow. You can go through the doors for free. And I think JR was saying he's had 18,000 people in 4 years go through the gates, and
he's back. That's amazing. Yeah. So if you just joined us, folks, we're talking with Roger Kuns in studio here with us. He's the owner of Music and Cinema, online at musicandcinema.com, musicandcinema.com, friend of the Consumer Quarterback Show. He's a veteran, and support the local economy by supporting his business, musicandcinema.com. Now, he also has a friend of his on the line, fellow veteran, Roy Brown Jr. He's the founder and CEO of Operation Patriot FOB. And we were just talking a little about the story, and we got your website up on the screen here, Roy. So we've got your website up on the screen. Please take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I heard a little bit of what Roger was saying, and when I came home, I struggled a lot. I spent 3 years consecutively in Iraq between the Marine Corps and contracting for the government. And after I was injured at the end of 2007, my wife, now girlfriend at the time, was living in New York City. So as you can imagine, 3 years consecutively in Iraq, and I moved to a city of 8 million people.
Wow.
That I didn't really feel like I had much in common with. And you got to remember, back in 2007, this was the height of the McCain-Obama election cycle, anti-war, anti-Iraq, Afghanistan. So I did like a lot of us do, and I self-isolated in a 600-square-foot apartment for an entire year while we lived there.
Wow.
And, as we know, idle mind is the devil's playground. So while I'm at home or in the apartment at 10 o'clock in the morning watching Jerry Springer, I'm still getting phone calls and emails and texts. Hey, Pedro just got killed. Hey, this guy just lost a leg. So that's where my PTSD really started to kick my butt. I felt like if I was still there, maybe I could have made a difference. Then that just led into depression, couldn't sleep at night, anxiety, and a lot of different things. So after that year, decided to move back up to upstate New York because my father was getting older and his health was fading. And after, losing as many guys as we did in Iraq, you really appreciate the time that you have with your loved ones. So moved back up there. But I didn't have a veteran community when I moved back up to upstate New York. So again, I still felt isolated and by myself, and I didn't want to talk about having PTSD or dealing with the problems that I had. So move forward a little bit. I've been one of the lucky ones. I heard you say the stat, on average, we're losing 22 to 44 veterans a day to suicide. And one of the big contributors is having a good partner in life. And I've been so blessed to have an amazing wife that can kick me in the rear end when I need to be kicked in the rear end. And so she made me kind of push me towards going back to college. And I took advantage of the post 9/11 GI Bill. I went to community college in upstate New York for a couple of years. I got my grades up, got accepted into business school at Syracuse University. And while I was up there, I was definitely still struggling. But I was able to gain an internship with a Congresswoman, Anne Marie Burkle, and I was doing military liaison type of thing. So we were fielding phone calls from Korean War veterans, World War II veterans even, and a lot of Vietnam veterans and just veterans in general. And there was just something that struck a chord in me, that while I'm in the corner all boohooing over my own stuff, there was so many other veterans that were out there that were struggling that I felt like I could help. So what I did is I took that skill set that the Marine Corps gave me on how to train dogs, and I reached out to an organization called Labs for Liberty, which is based in Salt Lake City, Utah, and we train service dogs for primarily the special operations community. So in the midst of all that, finished with Syracuse, and we decided to move back down to South Carolina. So we built a house down here in 2017, moved in 2018, and while I moved back down here, I was still carting veterans and dogs back and forth to Utah. And out in Utah, they had 35 acres up in the mountains, picturesque, absolutely beautiful. We would do some fly fishing, we'd do some hunting, we'd do some shooting on the range, get on the ATVs and cruise around. But at the end of the day, we'd sit around a bonfire together with other combat veterans and like-minded individuals. And for me, I got more therapy out of that than I ever did from any of the doctors that I worked with at the VA or civilian doctor, any of the medication. Just being able to talk to somebody that understands because they've been through it helped me the most. Yeah. So in 2019, I lost 5 guys within a 13-month span to suicide. And I broke down to my wife, and I'm like, there's got to be more. What can we do? What can we do? What can we do? And she picked up on the fact that every time I would come back from Utah, I was upbeat, my spirits were high, I was in a good mood, I was pleasant to be around. And she noticed that, so as soon as she said that, I was like, you're right, let's move to Utah. And she squashed that quick, fast, and in a hurry. We had just moved back down to South Carolina, but she's like, maybe you're on to something. So we started to do our demographics and our statistics locally here. If you draw a 90-minute driving radius around our 268-acre facility, there's over 120,000 veterans, over 30,000 active duty, and we were fortunate enough last year to open up our facility to first responders as well, and there's another 30,000 just within a 90-minute driving radius. So in the military, we like to call that a target-rich environment. So once we decided to pull the trigger and try to recreate something like they had out in Utah, we ended up taking our life savings and purchasing the 268 acres right here in Ridgeland, South Carolina. We're about 45 minutes north of Savannah. We're about 45 minutes to Hilton Head, so we're really in a really good area. But the primary mission of OPFOB is to create a place for like-minded individuals to come together and build that camaraderie that I was missing the most and what I was getting out in Utah. It takes that camaraderie and a certain type of person to go through the things that we went through with each other, and that's how you get through it, is with those other people, making light of some of the darkest situations that we've been through. But then all of a sudden, I always tell the story, I was in the middle of a gunfight. 3 days later, I was at home on my mom's couch. Wow. And to not have that team with you and not feel like you have that, somebody's got your six. It's hard to function. It's hard to find purpose. It's hard to get out of bed some days. So what we do what's the website, Roy? We're going into a break, but I want to make sure people have a point of reference. What's the website? We're going to take a quick break and come back with more with Roy Brown Jr., founder, CEO of OPFOB, Operation Patriot FOB. What's the website real quick? Yep, so it is just opfob.org, opfob.org. Okay, nice and easy there. And also Roger Kuns in the house with us, musicandcinema.com, musicandcinema.com. We'll be right back. More with our expert contributors today on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. Please make sure to send him all of your real estate deals and subscribe to the Consumer Quarterback Show podcast on iTunes and Spotify, or check out our YouTube channel. Have a blessed day.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 727-263-3707. Online at consumerqb.com.
Lindsay Rhymes here. My husband Brandon and I own the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams, and our team of seasoned agents is ready to help you buy, sell, invest, and love the life you live here in Tampa Bay. Communication, execution, customer service, and bulletproofing transactions are really where our team shines. We service Hillsborough, Pinellas, Manatee, Pasco, Hernando, and Citrus counties, and we have seasoned agents in residential, luxury land, and commercial divisions. Reach out to us, your Christian realtors, and let us help empower you with the right knowledge to make smart decisions with your next transaction. Call us at 727-263-3707 today. Again, that number is 727-263-3707.
Selling commercial, vacant land, or residential properties? Don't leave money on the table. List with the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. I'm Brandon Rhymes. You can reach me at 727-263-3707. Call or text 727-263-3707. Online at consumerqb.com.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
All right, we're back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. We've got Roger Kuns in studio with us, musicandcinema.com, veteran, as well as Roy Brown Jr., CEO of Operation Patriot FOB, helping reduce and bring awareness to veteran suicide. We're going to pick up on that story here in just a minute. Before we do, hot listing here in Gainesville, Florida. Any UF Gators? Attention, all my Gator fans or investors, if you're thinking about investing in real estate, we got a great opportunity. We've got 90 units of pre-construction luxury condos at 3101 Archer Place up in beautiful Gainesville, Florida. This is Old Archer Road, Unit 209 in Gainesville, 3101 Old Archer Road, Gainesville, Florida. You got pre-construction pricing here for a limited time, 10% off. The properties are starting off, these condos, beautiful condos, are starting off at the low 400s up to the 900s. You have floor plans that are ranging from 1 and 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms for the penthouses. EB5 approved. You're a mile from the University of Florida. Shands Medical, Butler Plaza, high-end luxury in the building, resort-style temperature-controlled pools, cabanas, grills, gourmet chef kitchen in the clubhouse. Beautiful opportunity. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. Buying, selling, or investing, check out platinummvpteam.kw.com. All right, we'll go back to Roy Brown Jr., and you were telling us a little about the story and pick up where you left off, my friend.
Yeah, so, the primary thing and the simple thing about OpFob is it is just creating a place for like-minded individuals to come together to build that camaraderie that a lot of us miss the most, which we think contributes highly to the 22 to 44 veterans a day that we're losing to suicide. So we've got fishing ponds, we've got a shooting range, we do some hunting, we do some riding around on the side-by-sides. We have a event venue where we hold a lot of different events. And primarily what we do is we give an opportunity for veterans and first responders, active duty, and their family to come out and build those relationships with other people so they know that they're not alone and they can lean on each other when times get tough. July 23rd is going to be our 4-year anniversary. We've had over 18,000 people visit our facility. And we're proud to say in those 4 years, we have not lost anybody to suicide that's come through that gate.
Wow, that's really awesome. I really see, the connection there when you look at any business, any organization, we're human beings in the end, right? And human beings, we want some core basic tenets. We want appreciation, we want love, we want that sense of community. I kind of miss being in the football locker rooms from back in the day. I think that's something that will never leave us when we're involved in a sport like that. And not to discount military services or anything like that. That's my rough estimation of how it would relate to my life. But man, military, my hat goes off, and you guys go above and beyond. So it's a completely different level when you're shooting real bullets and bombs and all the stuff, the technology you have today. We got about 3 minutes left. Tell us more, Roy.
Well, I'll touch on that real quick. No coincidence that you brought that up about the locker room. I was just up in New Jersey, and I had the opportunity to meet with Bart Oates, who was a 3-time Super Bowl champion, 2 with the Giants and 1 with San Francisco. And anyways, had a great lunch with him. His son, coincidentally, served with the 82nd Airborne in Iraq right around the same time. And he's had some struggles like the rest of us. So Bart understood, what exactly we were trying to accomplish. And he brought up the same thing as far as, and it doesn't matter if you're having bullets shot at you or not. When you're gearing up in that locker room, you're getting ready to go to battle. You're getting ready to go to war out on that field. So it's that camaraderie that you have with your teammates, and it's worrying about that man or woman that's on your left flank or your right flank and taking care of them and holding each other accountable, because if they don't do their job or you don't do your job, somebody else gets hurt or you lose the game. So we're actually reaching out with other athletes, professional athletes, and trying to create a program where we bring in some of these athletes and our veterans together to build that camaraderie with each other.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. That's a really cool combination. Get people together, enjoy, have those shared experiences. And you got 200 and how many acres was it up there? 270 acres up in the Carolinas. We're talking with Roy Brown Jr., founder and CEO, Operations Patriot FOB, and it's opfob.org if you want to support. Now, I asked Roy as well, how can we support? How can our audience support? Volunteers, money, cash, in-kind contributions. What else, Roy?
We need all those things. We are a 501c3, and we depend on donations. And Roger and his companies and his wife have been extremely generous to help support us. But the overall goal, I guess I would say, for me to spread awareness is for civilians and other people to know that veterans are struggling. But I don't care if you're a veteran listening to this. I don't care if you reach out to OPFOB or another organization. If you're dealing with some stuff, reach out. Call a battle buddy. There are people out there that actually give a crap about what you're going through and want to help. Don't go down that road that you can never come back from.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's never too late to reach out to a friend. Final thought, Roger. Back to you, 30 seconds.
Yeah, no, I'm just thrilled to help spread the awareness for Roy and his Operations Patriot FOB. And my 7 years in the Marine Corps was the best thing that ever happened to me. But I didn't go through some of the things that a lot of other servicemen did. And this is my little way of helping Roy and his team give back. And Keisha and I support them 100%. And just doesn't matter where you're from, you have an open opportunity to go visit. So.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Online at opfob.org. Roy, thanks for joining us. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Roger Kuns, musicandcinema.com. And another great show. I want to thank all of our expert contributors, producers. We want you to please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. Do something kind for one another. Be a force for good in the community. And we'll see you next time here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
You